Welcome, Patriots. This is 00 Jericho, and it is December 29th, 2025, and we are watching our team out on the field right now, watching them kick butt, and we're kind of like up in the stands now, just watching the team out on the field, right? We already picked our team. There's not a whole lot that we can do out here while the team is running plays out on the field. And we're about at the end of the first quarter. So, and what we're starting to see is a lot of people that are thinking about booing our team while they're out on the field. Now, I'm here to tell you, that's not what you should be doing. Well, hello, Carol Burton. I hope you had a Merry Christmas. We're about 4 days past Christmas now, and I hope everybody had a happy holiday. I had a good holiday, and I hope you did too, man. Hey, Dean McLean, Texas J. Jones. All right, he made it this time. Great. I hope the notification bells are working there. I don't know, but it's great. Great to see you here, Jay, right at the get-go. I got a lot of notes, because things are just happening so fast that I don't know. And then I've been looking through old notes, and it's just amazing how much the Trump team has accomplished so far that we've forgotten about already, you know? Like the Doge cuts, you know? Whatever happened to the Doge? Right out of the gate, Doge was finding fraud all over the place, which is a continuing theme of the first quarter here. And, you know, the Democrats, every single one of them opposed it, and a couple of Republicans stood up with them, and it kind of brought it to an end. Whereas I think everything needs to get Doged, man. When you're running a business, you got to Doge everything, right? And I think that's the way it should be. All right, hi Darlene, it's good to see you. I saw English Rose did a really cool video, just about a real short video, and it hit home for me about how many of our chat patriots have died this year. And she just did a video to you know, say, let's try to remember their families. Let's remember their friendship that we had with them, and that was like silly for him and Ricky and Rain and Blood and Darth Trader, and there was just so many of you patriots that were outstanding, all through these battles that God has brought us together in this family of whatever you call it here, and all my friends that are in there. So it's good to see some cohesion, and that we're all sticking together still, and I just thought that was really nice of English Rose to bring note of that today with her short video. That was really cool, man. And Jane Febo, right on, Jay. Yeah, Jane Febo and Bart Shively. I mean, he wasn't the chat family, but he, you know, another. So we've experienced a bunch of deaths, man, and that's just the people in the chat family. Dozens of us have experienced deaths in the families throughout the course of this battle, and it's hard. It's not easy. This is a battle for the existence of our beautiful country, and we're not standing down. We're standing up to all of this. So, all right, I got a couple videos I want to play. I don't think we're going to get done in 20 minutes this time, but we'll try to keep it under an hour. There's this one video I found here. This guy puts it together really well. And this is like a dude. All right, check this guy out. You know, his beard's not trimmed. He doesn't have tattoos on his face. He's not funded by Qatar or whoever. Everybody's saying everybody's funded by somebody now. But these are the real people out here that are finding out information, doing the digs, and bringing the information to us. So hear this guy out here.
That happen? We need to reinstate the McCarran-Walter Act. America first, means Americans in charge. November 18, 1990, the 101st Congress quietly repealed the McCarran-Warner Act of 1952, forbidding Muslims from holding office. Members of that Congress were Dick Cheney, John McCain, Joe Biden, Al Gore, John Kerry, Mitch McConnell, Chuck Schumer, and Nancy Pelosi. The McCarran-Walter Act of 1952 was a landmark piece of legislation designed to protect the national security and interests of the United States. It gave our government the power to exclude and deport immigrants deemed subversive or a threat to our way of life. What's funny is for decades, it stood tall, ensuring that those who came to our shores, and especially those who sought to hold power within our government, were loyal to this nation and this nation alone. Its repeal was a grave mistake, and we're living with the consequences today. We see a government riddled with officials who hold dual citizenship, whose primary allegiance is often questionable, and who push policies that benefit foreign nations at the direct expense of the American people. This is not diversity, it's infiltration, okay? It is a slow-motion invasion of our own halls of power, where decisions about our economy, our borders, our wars are made by individuals with deep-seated foreign ties. Our founding fathers, they understood that a nation cannot survive if it's governed by those who owe their allegiance to another flag. We have forgotten that. Lesson to our parole, Reinstating the McCarran-Walter Act would be a powerful first step in reclaiming our sovereignty and putting the American people back in control of their own destiny. It's time to kick foreign influence out of our government and restore America to its rightful place as a nation governed by and for its own citizens. If you guys agree with everything that I just said, give it a like, give it a share, give me a follow, because I'm tired of this.
I want to thank Stephen Miller.
There you have it. Another instance here where our country had everything under control. They had the McCarran-Warner Act, which kept illegals from acquiring public office in this country. I never even heard of this until this guy brings it up, Fox News didn't tell me about this. Some random dude with a YouTube channel told me this, right? I looked it up, it's true. Warner McCarran, the McCarran-Warner Act from 1952 said you can't be a citizen of another country and hold office here. Now, what do we got here? Now we got Muslims we got Somalians in the House of Representatives. We got APAC and dual citizenship people all over the place in our government, dozens and dozens of them. And then in 1990, the usual suspects deleted that McCarran-Warner Act. So it just compromised the system. We had it all wrapped up back in the day, right? This reminds me of the Smith-Mundt Act that Obama reformed or took away, where we said that, we got a lot of these government agencies that are doing operations all over the world to spread democracy, with the CIA and military operations and stuff. And then we had the Smith-Mundt Act that kept that from being used on American citizens. And then Obama, in his infinite wisdom, whoever that guy was, wherever he came from, all of a sudden he's in the White House and he says, no more Smith-Mundt Act. You can do psyops on the American people. I mean, we've gotten here in a death by 1,000 paper cuts, basically. And every time it was, all right, we're not going to burn the barn down for this one, let it go. We're still here. I can still watch football. I can still see the grandkids on the weekend. Every single one of these was an incremental violation of the freedom, of the Constitution of this country, our prosperity, And it's just another instance, the McCarran-Warner Act. I didn't even know about it till 3 weeks ago when I saw that video. And I did mention that in a video or two ago, and I couldn't get the video up when I was talking about it. So that's how I found out about it. I went to the Google interweb and I looked it up, and it's true. And just another instance. And it was all the Democrats plus Mitch McConnell and the typical rhinos that took that protection away from our country, man. And it's outrageous. It's one thing after another. And it just drives me nuts. Drives me nuts, man. So in the last week or so, we got a bunch of stuff that's happened. Let's just hit it off here. Representative Tim Burchett and Mike Lee have introduced a proclamation, a bill, or whatever it is, to get the United States to leave NATO. And I don't know if that's the route that Trump wants to go. And this may not be Trump's timing on this all, which is where I think Marjorie Taylor Greene kind of screwed up with Trump there. But basically, like I said, we're watching the first quarter right now. We're all sitting in the stands, and we got to let the team run the plays, man. We already voted the team in. Now let's see how they're running it. And there's a bunch of people that want to just create dissension and make us feel like we're losing, but we're not. When you look at the facts, and you stop looking at all the dissension and the hype and the fake MAGA people that are out there, you realize we're winning. We're winning huge right now. And Trump just met with Zelensky yesterday down at Mar-a-Lago. So I'm thinking, progress is being made. But Zelensky just had a drone attack on Putin's house, so I don't know. We're going to have to see. I don't know how it's going to pan out. And I'm confident that Trump is the guy that we need at the helm of our ship right now, guiding us through the Russia-Ukrainian war right now. It definitely would not have happened if the election was not thrown in 2020, was not stolen from us in 2020. In another act that Trump did recently was he ended 5 offshore wind projects, I believe up in New England somewhere there. And this was another thing that Trump keeps harping on, these windmills they've been selling us. The green new energy people just want us to, they're telling us the solar farms and the wind farms are the future. We can't burn coal. We got plenty of coal. We got plenty of dams, but they were making us tear dams apart. So Trump is doing action on that idea too. Ending 5 offshore wind farm projects. Who knows how many millions of dollars he saved us? Well, already they've spent that much money trying to install these wind farms that are ripping us off. But at least the bleeding, it's an attempt to stop the bleeding on that, man. Yeah, Linda Dean, it's getting old not watching these people get arrested, but an example of that is the Nick Shirley thing in Minnesota here recently. Nick Shirley, a random YouTuber dude, exposes more in an afternoon than the entire government has exposed in the last 8 years for corruption and fraud within our welfare system, all aspects of it, the medical care system, the daycare system, adult care system, medical transportation. I mean, there's a lot there. Housing, the food programs. There's a ton of, it's just almost every single program is getting abused at this point. And Nick Shirley, in one afternoon, just drove around to 25 daycares looking for how many kids these daycares are getting. And the reason he went to those daycare centers was because they were receiving $1 million or $2 million a year to be in business, which I'm thinking of starting a daycare here right now, if that's the way it is. Not really, I'm being sarcastic, but I guess the government was handing out millions of dollars to open a daycare, man. And not too long ago, in March or something, Walz, the governor of Minnesota was saying that he was bumping up the amount of money he's given to these daycares and stuff. So in one afternoon, Nick Shirley drives around, finds 0 children in any of these buildings, and altogether they were receiving $111 million of government money, man. Yeah, more than the DOJ, right? And why hasn't this been exposed before? You know, so already there have been busts in Minnesota that the FBI has. I reported on it last week or 2 weeks ago, where they charged 90 different people. I believe like 40 or 50 of them have been convicted. And then since then, not 1, not 2, but 3 judges have reversed the convictions. One of them had a jury unanimously declare the guy guilty, and a judge reversed the decision, man. And there were 2 other judges that did that. Now imagine all this money we're putting into these investigations, these prosecutions, all the manpower, all the money that goes into them. And then one judge can just wipe the whole thing out temporarily because it's going to get appealed and cost us more money to plow it through the rest of the courts. But that's how it's going, man. They're using the money that they tax us for against us, basically. Now, all those arrests weren't with the daycare fraud that's going on. That was all the arrests that they did an investigation on the lunch programs that charities were doing in Minnesota to feed kids for free, I guess, you know, that needed meals, which is a great program, which is the program that churches all used to do. But then the government stole our charity and said, we can do it better. And here you have the product of it. 90 people charged with frauding the government out of that. I say, end it all. Give that responsibility back to us. Give us our charity back so that we can care for the people who need food, man. Church soup kitchens is the answer to that. Churches want to do that because then that's an outreach for them, you know. And they get a little Jesus message when they come in for a lunch, you know. Right now they just sign up, actually they weren't even doing that. You know, there were people getting paid to feed millions of lunches to kids, and there was no physical way that they were doing it from the properties that they were operating out of. They weren't. It was a fraud. They were taking the money from the government. They weren't doing a thing. Okay, and it isn't just these judges that are active, right? There was a Minnesota State House of Representatives person who stood up and voted to investigate the fraud that was happening in Minnesota. Do you remember that? What happened to her? She ended up dead. Remember this story? Not too long ago. Remember when a Tim Walz appointee murdered the only lawmaker who tried to stop the fraud in Minnesota? So now we're talking murders, okay? So these people, I mean, they're willing to kill in order to keep their grift going. And in the meantime, this is also meant to scare people who may want to stand up against this evil, thinking, well, I don't want to get killed over pointing this stuff out. They just killed, I forget what the woman's name was, man. A woman and her husband got killed in their house because she wanted to investigate the fraud in Minnesota. So it's huge, Patriots. This is demonic activity going on here. Oh, hi, 5-Star Ranger and Julius. How's it going, Julius? Tamara Root. Good to see you all. Lou Maldonado. Good to see you, sir. So it isn't just fraud, it's murder, and it is a totally corrupt system, and we got, our team is on the field right now. We're just getting to the end of the first quarter, and I'm thinking they're doing everything that that they need to be doing right now. Okay, and Shari Bell. Shari Bell, it is. It goes way beyond Minnesota. It's happening in Michigan as well. But now, that's one fraud that's happening. I mean, that's one type of a fraud that's happening. There are other problems in this country that are equally as huge. But is it the triage thing that we got to be looking at right now? And this is what we were talking about last video, was the triage. We got to rescue these kids, these 300,000 missing children. And FBI has, Cash Patel, Dan Bongino has attacked that problem for the first quarter here. And they have found 130,000 of these kids. They've made hundreds of arrests with human trafficking, and that program is still going on. Do we now pull people from that program to address the fraud issue? Do we need to apply people to the Epstein files now? Because the Southern District of New York, all of a sudden, lo and behold, they got 1 million Epstein documents that nobody even knew about because they were at the Southern District of New York. Interesting thing about the Southern District of New York is where all these other laptops and things have just disappeared at, you know. So if there's anything in these Epstein dumps, it's going to be in the Southern District of New York stuff. But I'm saying we don't even got to worry about that for another 3 years, man, until the end of the game, all right? But the libtards and these fake MAGA people are demanding that Trump takes resources that could be spent hunting down fraud in Minneapolis and Michigan and Pennsylvania and every state's got it going on. I don't think we should pull resources from that. Another good thing for the FBI is Cash Patel just made the announcement that he's pulling out of the J. Edgar Hoover building down in D.C. When we were down in D.C., the Biden administration made an announcement that they were going to build a new FBI headquarters in Greenbelt, Maryland, and it was going to cost $5 billion. So Cash Patel just made the announcement this week that they're pulling out of the J. Edgar Hoover building. They are canceling the contract with Greenbelt, Maryland to build a new FBI headquarters there. And they are moving into an existing building down in D.C. called, I think, the Reagan Building or something. In other words, they got another building they can all just jump into. We don't got to build a new compound for the FBI. And what he did was he took all these people that were working at the J. Edgar Hoover building on day one when he got his post, and he fanned them out into the whole country. No more was there going to be a huge base of FBI people working in cubicles in the J. Edgar Hoover building. They're now out in the field, and that's how I think we got the results with finding these 130,000 children and the human traffickers and the drug busts that have been going on too. Hello, Priscilla. It's good to see you. Jay Jones, I want all of Epstein's clients exposed and arrested. Yes, I do too. I don't want anybody to escape justice. But is it the one that we should be doing right now? You know, how many resources are going to have to get pulled to, you know, make those documents okay to release to the public and stuff? So I don't know. I don't got the answers, man. But I'm just saying I would rather see other things. I want to see it all exposed, but I'm at a loss as to which one we got to do first. We are surrounded. We are in the middle of a war. We are hundreds of thousands of casualties down versus the other team. Where do we apply our resources right now? You know, and that's what I'm presenting that's the question, you know. Cash Patel is hitting them out of the park, man. He's hitting singles, doubles, triples, home runs, and keep moving the FBI out of the J. Edgar Hoover building and all that stuff. They're doing that, man, and working on the Tina Peters things. That's the DOJ there. I'd like to see that J. Edgar Hoover building turned into a federal prison where everybody that gets rounded up in this final round of corruption can get a nice room. They got these nice windows there, and I think they should build little cell blocks at each one of the windows so we can go to the J. Edgar Hoover building and see Pelosi up in her cell and see all these people serving out the rest of their lives for the treason that they caused this country. I mean, that's just a fantasy, but we got to get justice. We have to have confidence in our justice system, in law and order, man. Okay, Jay Jones says, Pam Bondi has got about 9 days to arrest the J6 Fedsurrectionist statute of limitations. I heard that information a couple days ago, and I just heard that information has been refuted because the J6 Commission wasn't seated on J6. It was seated like in the summer the following year. So if there is a statute of limitations on that, it doesn't really expire until 4 years or 5 years beyond when they were committing their crime. So that's another one of them big stories, Jay. That people are out there spreading this, Pam Bondi's got 9 days to do this. And that's how they're trying to split us up, man. I don't think those people are going to get away with the corruption that they did. But this information that they need, she's got to do something by the 6th of January, is false information, man. Trump is in charge, Lou, right. So I'm chasing my tail all over the place, looking at all this information that's coming out, and it's really tiring. It really does suck that there is so much bad information and false information out there. Harmy Dillon says no statute. That's who I saw commented on that today. Right. So Harmy Dillon is on it. She hears all this bad information, these lies coming out from influencers with polished fingernails and tattoos all over, and $150 makeup job and a coiffed haircut. And they're telling us that Pam Bondi's got 9 days to do this, and that's malarkey. It's not true. And Harvey Dillon, rock star, is out there today with tweets saying that's bad information. That's bad information. Keep your chin up, Priscilla. It's happening. It is happening. Another piece of information I just had today, I made a post about a video from Judicial Watch that the lawsuit from Ashley Babbitt's family was settled today for $4.975 million. It's bittersweet. I mean, nothing's going to bring Ashley Babbitt back. Lawyers are probably going to get a third of that money, and then they're going to have to pay 50% taxes on whatever's left after the lawyers take their cut. And Michael Byrd is still a free man. So I don't know. I can't call that justice yet. Was justice served yet? No, it hasn't been. But that is one step in the right direction for Ashley's family, you know, after having to deal with that. Right, Shari Bell, people need to remember Trump has only been in office for 11 months. Great things are going to happen, and it just takes time. And these cases need to be ironclad. I mean, there is a lot of, think of all the investigations that went into just this SNAP benefits lunch program in Minnesota, you know. And then most people didn't hear about all those busts. And now the Nick Shirley thing has come out, and they're all trying to whip MAGA up into saying they're not doing anything, fire Bondi, get rid of Bondi again. And every time the cry goes up, Pam's not doing her job. Every time there's an arrest, and then every time they come up with that cry, the next week there's another, 6 tons of fentanyl seized, or another human trafficking ring in Utah or Florida is busted. The prosecutions are happening, and they got to be ironclad, because there's a lot of money funding the people fighting these things to get them thrown out of court, to try to set crooked precedents with all these cases and stuff. So, and Pam Bondi has strung up a long line of Supreme Court victories for Trump right now. So that's also a huge kind of in the sidelines task of hers, is to make sure that anytime a decision of Trump is questioned, when it gets to the Supreme Court, we get an honest ruling from the Supreme Court. And Pam Bondi's lining them up like clockwork. This week, there was a loss to Trump, okay? The first day, SCOTUS ruled a loss for Trump because on his attempt to enforce the law in Chicago, where he wanted to send in the National Guard into Chicago, right? That went all the way to the Supreme Court last week. The decision came down that no, Trump could not send the National Guard into Chicago. So for a day or two, I saw all the libtards going, yay, Trump can't do what he wants to do. I told you. And then it comes out that there was a dissension to that decision that was written up by Alito, Justice Alito, and he was saying that he can't bring in the National Guard until other options have been exhausted. So what are the other options? The other option is to bring in the Marines first, which is exactly what Kennedy did, which is exactly what Eisenhower, I think, did with the all that stuff down in Alabama with the civil rights and stuff, man. So now he can send in. He's cleared to go. The Supreme Court just said, all right, you got to try everything you got at your disposal before you send in the National Guard, before you federalize the state National Guards. Was the actual decision that they had to make there. So that loss, that little victory that all the libtards were all giddy about, is a total another win for Trump, okay? So now all Trump has to do is declare an insurrection, man. That's all he's got to do. If there's an insurrection, he can do the Halo Act or something like that, and just call it what it is, Trump. But I'll wait on his timing, man. He's the quarterback, or he's the coach, and we'll let him do what he needs to do when he needs to do it. You can't tell the quarterback throw a pass when they're all lined up for a pass. You got to wait for the call. You got to wait for the timing of all this stuff to happen. You got to wait till your team is ready to run that play and receive that pass and stuff, man. So what we're watching is legendary. Trump is legendary, man. When this is all over, and hopefully we live through it and get our country back and all that, I'm in awe. I am in awe of Trump and his team doing what they're doing, and Congress just totally dropping the ball on him. This Congress has been the least active Congress in the last 40 years. They have passed the fewest amount of bills in decades. So this Congress is actively stalwarting Trump. But one by one, they're leaving, they're walking out, they're not coming up for election. The one line in the sand is, will they pass voter integrity action before, so that it can be used in the 2026 election? And I'm 50-50 on that. I think 50% of me thinks they won't do it. they're going to act like they're fighting for it, and then somehow Massey won't vote for it, or somehow they're not going to be able to do it, but they're going to look like they're trying. Or they're distracted with other things, you know. They had to do all these other things, man. Oh, right on, Jay Jones. I think that might be the link I got in my post there. Yeah. You can hear Sherry in there. I didn't catch that, man. Yeah, Dee Dee. How's it going, Dee Dee? God did break the mold with Trump, that's for sure. Hey, what's up, Cash? Good to see you, bud. Good. I saw a post from you again today, and like 2 of them yesterday. Good job, bud. Good job. Hey, Denise Green, good to see you. Thank you for the scoop you gave me there. Yeah. So I got to be pleased with Trump. Don't listen to the static. Enjoy your family. Get close to God. Read some Bible. You know, get linked up. It's always great. You know, the Bible has been so comforting for me, man. I've been reading through Psalms 119, you know, which is the longest psalm in the Psalms there. But it's just good stuff, man. It sets me at peace. It works. It for sure works. What other foolishness has happened this week? The Trump Kennedy Center renaming thing happened, right? Trump gave like a couple people some awards down at the Kennedy Performing Arts Center in D.C. But they renamed it the Donald J. Trump, John F. Kennedy Performing Arts Center, and like the libtards, they just blew their stack. And I heard like some jazz musician didn't want to play there now, who I never heard of before. But then I heard that was a whole fake story too, that he actually did play. But I don't know, and I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. That's like I don't know. And then this other story came out this week. All the trolls in the chat were going, yeah, well, what about that? When Trump was on that yacht in Lake Michigan and they dumped the baby overboard. I'm like, what? Where do you come up with this stuff, man? And think about it. If it was true, why didn't it come up until now? Why didn't they come up with it when they were impeaching Trump or trying to get him disqualified from the election? I mean, it's just nonsense. Non-stop nonsense, man. So, yeah, the liberal outcry will be part of the history of this whole era right now, man. Trump has done, like 70... There have been 70 strikes in Syria performed right now with the cooperation of the Syrian president, pertaining to an attack that happened on 2 of our service members and a friendly over in Syria. They were killed. Trump brought them over here. Their bodies were flown back. Trump was out on the tarmac welcoming the bodies home. Very solemnly, wasn't checking his watch like FJB did and stuff. And we have now performed 70 Syrian attacks with no, with the cooperation of the Syrian president. And he also, on Christmas Day, for all us Christians out there, Trump sent in special forces into Nigeria to put a whooping on the whoever it is that's killing all the Christians over there in Nigeria, with definitely no flack from the Nigerian president, the cooperation of the Nigerian government, man. So I thought that was a nice little Christmas gift. Merry Christmas to all the Christians that are getting persecuted. There you go. Trump didn't have to do anything. In fact, there's nothing but trouble that could come from him from doing something like that, but he did it. And he did it for the Christians that are getting persecuted. So many of them. Hundreds of millions of Christians are being persecuted around the world. In fact, Christians are the most persecuted religion on the planet right now. Okay, and then, yeah, Jay Jones, Trump confirms a land strike in Venezuela. I saw the headline for that, and I haven't looked into that. I guess they took over a port or something, or decimated a port, a landing. Yeah, little Z looked like a toddler. That's funny. Yeah, he did look like a toddler next to Trump at the beautiful gold office. What a beautiful White House it is now. Isn't it cool? So yeah, things are going on there. There was just another kerfuffle with the mainstream media. Apparently 60 Minutes did an episode on the CCOT Center down in El Salvador, which is one of the places that we're sending a lot of the deported illegals down there. And then CBS was, I think, trying to make news for themselves happen somehow. And they said, no, at the last minute, they were going to air this episode of the CCOT Center. And they said, no, we can't do it. We can't do it. For I don't know why. But I did know every other news media reported that CBS pulled the CCOT episode, so they're whooping things up to make things, to promote it, basically, right? When actually I saw Nick Shirley showed me CCOT like 6 months ago, He went down there and toured the whole facility. It's an amazing prison system down there that Bukele has, President Bukele. And it's totally meant for reforming criminals, we keep seeing video footage of the guys, they shackle them up, they unload them off a bus, and they bend them over and walk them in and cut all their hair off. And then they throw them into these cages where they're stacked up 5 bunk beds high, sleeping next to each other and stuff. And yeah, that really sucks, I'm sure. But then they get a chance to work their way out into varying degrees of freedom inside the prison, to the point where you can actually be getting a totally vocational training and a job in there while you serve out the remaining sentence. So if you're in there for 10 years, right, by the time you come out, you can be a fully trained electrician if you toe the line and reform your life and try to become a better person and a benefit to society instead of a leech, And then Judge Boasberg is trying to say we got to bring all these guys back from CCOT Center. I think that might have been what the story was about, but I don't know. I didn't watch it. I don't want to watch it because it's 60 Minutes and they've lied to me 100 times in the past. Why would I ever want to watch 60 Minutes again, Prayers for Nick Shirley, that's for sure, Texas J. Jones, because he is a Charlie Kirk-like figure right now. So they're saying that Nick Shirley got 100 million views on that presentation that he just did in Minnesota. And I'm thinking, wow, that's a lot. But you know what? That's 1/3 of the people in America. So 2/3 of the people of America didn't watch that. That's kind of hard to imagine that 2/3 of all the people didn't watch that. That's what I took from that, That's a huge thing that affects every single American that pays taxes. And to have only 100 million views seems weird to me. I don't know. Okay, another number that came out this week was the GDP, the gross domestic product, which is the total amount of product created by the United States. The GDP grew by 4.3% in the first quarter, which is a huge number that totally smokes anything FJB did in his illegitimate presidency. While FJB was in office, prices went up 30%. 30% inflation total over the 4 years that he was supposedly the president there. And now you got all these trolls, all these bots, all these fake MAGA people still complaining, well, the prices haven't come down. The prices haven't come down. The prices are not going to come down. The prices have never come down. Gasoline came down and eggs came down because FJB went and killed all the chickens. But once you got new chickens, and the price of eggs was right back where it was before. The gas is coming down because FJB shut the production of fuel off here. So we had to import it and made it cost more, but now we're opening it back up here in America. So the prices aren't going to come down, you know, they never do. They never do. Once inflation hits, it's really hard, and it's actually not good for prices to go backwards, man. That's called deflation. And I was just hearing Lara Logan, I think, was talking about this. You do not want that, or no, I don't remember who it was. It was somebody from Japan. It might have been the Japanese prime minister was saying about, you don't want deflation. It can destroy an economy, man. So, yeah. Hello, Shannon. Hi, Carrie. Good to see you, bud. C for freedom. All right, we're all getting in here now, man. Right on, Party Bonzo, verifying. You do not want deflation. It is bad. So the prices aren't going to just drop, man. But what happens is wages increase, the domestic product increases, and catches up to it. And then hopefully inflation doesn't go haywire again. Inflation numbers were very good. They were like 3%. They were hoping to get like 2% is considered ideal. But we still had some inflation due to uncontrollable factors right now. Still cleaning up the mess that Joe Biden left this country in, man. There was a great episode of Tucker Carlson with he interviewed Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz totally pulled out of politics, just like a couple people that we've seen before. I thought it was a very enlightening conversation. It sheds a lot of light into the environment in the halls of Congress there in D.C. And it is not good. It is not a happy place to be. Matt Gaetz went through hell while he was in there, got accused of all kinds of degenerate stuff that they never did prosecute him. They just tried to sling him with the mud of all that stuff. Matt Gaetz and George Santos were the only two representatives of our government that ever came to Freedom Corner, and look what they did to them. Matt Gaetz is out. George Santos got charged criminally, and then I believe Trump pardoned him for that, but it was for some stupid campaign financing thing worth, $10,000 or something here that they claim wasn't valid. It wasn't an $111 million fraud scheme on a welfare program, totally. So, the two guys that did show up at Freedom Corner, they took the heat, man, for sure. And that's where we're talking about the Uniparty, the Republicans. There's a lot of people, talking smack about Republicans, and then they're saying how Trump's a Republican. And I got to disagree with them. Trump is not a Republican. Trump is MAGA. I mean, that's why he had to invent a whole new word. And he came in and wormed his way into the Republican Party because I think they were clueless about how he was going to actually maneuver this. But right now, MAGA, we're gonna just have to get rid of all the rhinos, and hopefully we could keep the Republican Party together and make it MAGA, so that we don't splinter off into three parties in this country, because that would not be good either. You would get into a situation like what just happened in the New York City mayor race, where the guy wins the election, but he didn't even get 50% of the vote, I think when you make your final decision on a leader, it should be more than 50% of the people wanting that person in power. You shouldn't be able to win a position with 37 or 40% of the vote of the population. I just don't think that would sit well with anybody, because that means 60% of the people didn't want that guy to be in a position. Whenever you add a third party in a race, it messes it up, man. So, Doge. Altogether, Doge successfully eliminated $214 billion of money, okay, which is great. That's a lot of money. That's tons of money. But then it got shut down. And I think when this is all said and done, man, we got that fraud, and then it got shut down. That there's more Doge findings that will need to happen. We're talking $1 trillion in fraud from this country. I'm pretty sure, man. I hope C for Freedom. I hope one day we're all gonna wake up and all this is like it never happened. That's a happy thought, C4. All right on, D. McLean. Good night, buddy. Hang in there. We're winning, man. We're making forward progress. And we're only at the end of the fourth quarter. Trump made a directive to the DOJ. Trump rarely comes out and says he wants the DOJ to do something specific, but he just came out with an order to the DOJ to investigate Act Blue, which is the Democrat donation system that they found all kinds of fraud in that. They were making donations in people's names that had no idea that they were just using this person's name and address and phone number and making donations in their name, but these people had no idea. And Act Blue has moved $16 billion worth of donations since 2004. So, I mean, that goes back 20 years, but I mean, that's just under $1 billion a year that they were moving around there for them. And it's all part of the kickback scenario, because a lot of these Act Blue donations were from child care centers in Minnesota. And, you know, things like that. You get $1.5 million to run a fake child care center, and you're pocketing all that money, and you're not going to get busted because there's people inside keeping you safe. You're going to get a phone call and say, hey, donate $1,000 to Act Blue tonight, you know, and you're going to march down there and donate $1,000 because that's how the game was run, right? Yeah, we'll see how Mom Donnie does there, Julia. So he hasn't even assumed the office yet, and there's already lots of problems going on there. All right, I think that's all I got for now. I got another video I'd like to play because it touched me, man. This is from the heart right here.
I'm just heading into work and a thought popped in, and, you know, talking to God a little bit, and I gotta say that I'm thankful. I'm thankful for praying mamas and praying grannies, because I know my ass would be dead without my mama's prayers when she was still here, and I know the prayers that my granny still prays. It's like there's a lot of people that talk a lot of talk, you know, about, you know, being faithful and pursuing God and this and that and all that. And we know the Bible says the prayer of a righteous man availeth much. But man, I tell you, the prayer of a righteous woman can change the world. I know my granny can't really hit her knees, but I swear when she folds them hands, the devil trembles. Hell shakes when my granny says, hey, Lord, thank God for praying mamas and grannies.
Amen. I totally agree with that, man. The only reason I'm here is because the prayers of my mother that got me here right now, you know? Well, not the only reason, but man, she had a big part in that. She was always praying for all her kids behind our backs, even though we went through our times where we were straying, you know? So hats off to all praying moms and grannies out there. And I know we got a bunch of them in this family. But definitely hats off. And, you know, a prayer is worth more than a phone call to the senator. And we're doing it. What is the mission here? The mission is to serve our king, right? The mission isn't to save the country or get Trump elected again or all that. It's to reap a great harvest for our king. And ultimately, that is it in a nutshell. If it has to come down to one thing, that's what it is. That we have to be a witness for Christ on this earth. That we have to point others towards the Savior. Get them to turn their lives around, to repent, to do a 180 in your life and start looking to God for your wisdom, for your truths. And saving this country is an act that will work for that, because this is the bastion of Christian freedom right here in this country. So saving the country is that, but it is not the most important thing. The most important thing is being a great witness for Christ, learning about your king. If you don't know about your king, you know, you should know everything about his whole life, right? You should know everything about the prophecies that declared he was going to come before he came here, so you can verify and know that he is the one. So people can't come up to you and say, oh, Buddha and Muhammad are the same as Jesus. Because no, that's a bunch of malarkey if I ever heard it. But I bought into that for 5 years or so, and until I studied it out. You know, that's impossible. Jesus is not the same as Buddha or Muhammad or Krishna or, you know, any of the other ones, man. Jesus is the one and only Son of the one and only true living God. And he was predicted. He was, God sent prophets to tell the people that this was how it was going to go down. They killed every single one of them prophets. They killed every single one of the disciples. And we know what our lot is in this world. That's our lot, man. If we get anything better than that, we're lucky, okay? So the one thing is, that's the goal right there. And to save America and create a free spot on the planet that we can operate that mission from, that's the reason we're saving America. Not because we want to get rich, not because we want to, not for no other reason than to create the place where we can operate on that mission in freedom and safety from. And I think that's that. So while all this other stuff is going down, we got the fraud, we got the drugs, we got the missing kids, we got everything going on, the Epstein. And then now there's also the election fraud stuff that's happening. You know, the 315,000 votes that they just admitted from Georgia were counted illegally and entered into the election results. There's no doubt about it that 2020 election was rigged, and then the Congress certified a coup d'etat on this country on January 6, 2021. And we are the most peaceful counter-revolution that there is. I can't remember if I played that before. So what we're doing here, Patriots, is here's a good thing. What we're doing. We're backing up our man. We're backing up our team, and we're getting rid of these rhinos that are holding us back, holding this country back. I don't know what we're going to end up doing with these people in the end, but I do know that we need some justice. We need that all to happen. And then when we set it all up, this is what it's going to look like.
What happens to the Boers after capture? Historically, they were a loss, but Texans...
We're going to get them, man. We're going to get them. Let's see that again. All
What
at once.
happens to the Boers after capture? Historically, they were a loss.
That's all
but
the
Texans...
Democrats. That's all the Democrats in there. We're going to get them. And coming up next January 6th is in 8 days. There's going to be the 5-year memorial march for Ashley Babbitt and the J6 down in D.C. If you can make it, be there. There's going to be a lot of cool stuff happening there. There's a new song that the J6ers are releasing. I believe they're going to try to sing it on the steps. I'm looking forward to seeing if the bike racks are all the way out to the street. Remember when we were having our Ashley Babbitt marches in the past? And the 1 year we could walk kind of right around the Capitol, but they wouldn't let us right on the grounds. But then the next year, they had the bike racks all the way out to the street. And they literally arrested Ashley Babbitt's mom, Mickey, for walking in the street that year. I don't know if you guys remember that, but I'm wondering if now that we got Trump in the White House, if they're going to treat us like animals again, or if they're going to let us march around the Capitol peacefully, like we did everything else. So this is the most peaceful counter-revolution in the history of mankind, I believe. This is one of our heroes, Ashley, right there. I thought that was a good picture I never saw before. Remember that, Linda Dean? Yeah. Stu, hiya, Ann. So, our prayers are the most powerful thing that we got. Apply them liberally to this battle that we are in. And, we'll get another, yeah, Priscilla, man, breaks my heart too. Ashley Babbitt is a hero for sure. And pray for us, pray for me, pray for everybody that's involved with this, man. Mickey, Nicole, Tammy Jackson, everybody, man. I'm praying for you guys there, wherever you are. You know, we don't know what we can do. We want to do something, but we don't know what to do. And then pray for discernment so that a lot of this fake information just bounces off of our backs, because it's all over the place, and it's not cool. It takes a lot of the gas out of the pedal there, you know. So right on, Patriots, I'm really glad you guys all still tune in to me here. Like, share, and subscribe. And I guess another week, I'll be back with some more info as it breaks, man. Try to keep you up on the current stuff, man. It'd be amazing to just sit down one day and think of all the stuff that just happened in the last 11 months here. It would be an encyclopedia at this point. I can't even remember all the stuff that happened, man. But yeah, there you go, Shari Bell. That's what I believe too, man. 2026 is gonna be amazing. So thanks for joining me, Patriots. God bless you all. Prayers up. And I love you all, man. This is Jericho, over and out.